What's the smartest payback you pulled without getting caught? I moved into this off-campus house with 3 other girls I'd met through a university housing group. 2 were fine, but the third girl, let's call her Ellie, was the actual worst. From day 1, Ellie was taking my stuff without asking. At first it was just food, which was annoying enough BC I was on a super tight budget. But then she started borrowing my clothes and returning them with stains, stretched out, or sometimes not at all. I confronted her multiple times, but she'd always play dumb like, OMG, I totally forgot that was yours, or I was gonna wash it tomorrow, but nothing ever changed. The breaking point came when I noticed my birthday money was missing from my drawer. It was $200 my grandma had sent me, and I know exactly where I put it BC I was saving it for a trip. When I asked Ellie about it, she got all defensive and was like, are you seriously accusing me of stealing? She made this huge scene in front of our other roommates, crying and saying I was bullying her. Classic manipulation. They all took her side BC, she was the emotional one, and I was the cold one who didn't hang out with them as much. I knew 100% it was her, but had zero proof and couldn't afford to move out mid-semester. I was beyond furious, but realized direct confrontation wasn't going to work with someone like her. I needed to be smarter. So I started planning. I noticed Ellie was obsessed with this guy named Jack who lived in the building next door. She was constantly talking about him, following his socials, and trying to run into him accidentally. They'd hooked up a few times, but he clearly wasn't interested in anything serious. She was convinced they were meant to be together, though. I never told anyone, but I had actually met Jack at orientation before I knew Ellie existed. We weren't close, but we followed each other on Insta and occasionally liked each other's posts. Nothing major. One night when Ellie was out, I texted Jack asking if he wanted to grab coffee sometime to talk about the research program we were both interested in. Totally innocent, right? We met up at this cafe far from campus to avoid Ellie potentially seeing us. We actually had a great conversation about classes and stuff, and I casually brought up housing situations. I mentioned having roommate troubles without naming names. Jack immediately was like, OMG, do you live with Ellie? She's kinda intense. And then he started telling me how she would show up at his place unannounced, how she'd get mad if he didn't text back fast enough, and how she'd accidentally run into him everywhere. He said he was trying to distance himself, but she wasn't getting the hint. I saw my opening and took it. I told him I was concerned about her behavior, and mentioned that small things had gone missing in our apartment. I was careful not to directly accuse her, just planted the seed. I said something like, IDK. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but my birthday money disappeared, and she's the only one who knew about it. He looked genuinely concerned. Here's where my plan really started. I suggested that maybe he could help me figure out if she was the one taking my stuff by mentioning something valuable that didn't actually exist. I proposed he casually tell Ellie about a rare coin collection his dad had given him that was worth a lot of money, and say he kept it in his desk drawer. The key was making it sound important but accessible. Jack was hesitant at first, but also seemed intrigued by the idea. I think part of him wanted to know if she was actually problematic, or if he was overreacting. We came up with a detailed story about the coins and how they were family heirlooms. The next week, Jack texted me saying he'd mentioned the coins to Ellie when they ran into each other. He said her eyes literally lit up when he described them. 3 days later, Ellie asked me if I wanted to go to a party at Jack's building. I declined, saying I had to study. As soon as she left, I texted Jack a heads up that she was coming over. He had already set up his trap. An old cigar box in his desk with some random foreign coins inside and a hidden webcam pointing at the desk. His idea, not mine. The next morning, Jack sent me the video. It showed Ellie waiting until Jack went to the bathroom, then immediately going to his desk, finding the box, and pocketing several coins. When he came back, she suggested they go get food, clearly wanting to leave before he noticed anything missing. I knew I had her, but I didn't confront her directly. That would have blown everything up and she'd just deny it. Instead, I had Jack message her saying he knew she took the coins and had proof. He said he wouldn't tell anyone or press charges if she returned everything she'd ever taken from others, especially me. That night, Ellie came home looking like she'd seen a ghost. She went straight to her room. The next morning, I found an envelope with $200 outside my door. Over the next week, various items of my clothing mysteriously reappeared in the laundry room, washed and folded.